Hello, beer tubers, and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the Master of Hops. Today joined by
Brewed.
of Myces, cracking some old money hype. This beer, at least back in the day, was fairly hyped from what I remember. This is from Struise. Struise is a fantastic brewery. Black Albert is such a great beer, and it's one of those benchmark European beers, especially the barrel aged version. Cuvée Delphine is fantastic.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of experimental stuff. They've had the whole Black Damnation series. Them and like Demonen was some of the old money hype breweries for barrel aged stout back in the day.
Yeah.
And we reviewed. I said it's a couple of years back now. Octomore, the Octomore barrel aged. I think it's called What's it called? Octopussy barrel aged. A barrel aged imperial stout in the Black Damnation series. It was just mind-bogglingly great. So it'll be fun to drink some more.
A newer example is As Good As It Gets, the collab with Pushale.
Which was also phenomenal.
Yeah.
The fun thing, this one, it says it's as complicated as it gets because it takes a long time to make. So we're checking out none other than Struise Aardmonnik or Earthmonk. So this is a beer that was fairly hyped back in the day. I think it was the first or maybe second year of MBCC. They were pouring samples of this in like a 13 vintage, or no, 2003 vintage, or like a really, really early vintage, and people were just flocking to drink this stuff. And it's not something you hear people flock about trying to get nowadays.
Flanders.
But it's a Flanders oat Bruin, Flemish style sour beer. And I, back in the day when I was getting into sours, it was one of the beer styles that got me into sour beers because of, I think mainly the barrel aging was part of it, because that gave so much complexity. So this is pretty much one of Struise's takes on it, and it's, it'll be fun to try. I mean, at that year at MBCC, I never got to try this. I've actually never had Aardmonnik at all.
No, me neither.
So it'll be really fun to try it. But it says here that this is the only Struise with a mind of its own in terms of production, I guess, or just making it. It's as complicated as it gets, and aged for 5 years in Burgundy wine barrels, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. It must have a lot of
tannins
wine and wine character. Red wine character.
It's this here we're sitting with is the 13 vintage. It was bottled in 2018, making this a 3-year-old bottle. But since it's been in the making since 13, this is a beer that's almost now 10 years in the making, and we're popping it.
Yeah.
That's I totally get why they're saying this is as complicated as it gets.
Yeah.
It smells very vinous from here.
It does.
Very vinous, but yeah.
I'm not sure how cold or how.
I think it's one of those that's start cold and
super cold.
No, I mean I think cold and let it warm in the glass is good, or just like lightly chilled. It's because Rodenbach, if we take that as an example, even though that's fairly big produced now, that's also like nice to start with a bit cold and then it evolves in the glass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it looks kind of like what you'd expect from these beers. It's like a brown reddish color.
Yeah, chestnutty. Yeah, really.
It actually looks like cola, and like I say all the time, it does.
It also smells a bit like cola, to be honest.
It's got like a beige tannish head, but let's check out the aroma. Man, it's so vinous and tannic. It is so crazy tannic. I'm almost getting chocolate.
Chocolate and nutty.
Yeah. Man, it smells good. It smells really balanced too.
It does. It doesn't smell like it's going to be super acidic.
No. One of the big things with the Flemish beers is they usually don't have any form of Brettanomyces as like with lambic, so and the oat Bruins, so they're not necessarily funky, but you get a way different complexity from barrel aging and complex malt bill. Like it's a
but it doesn't have a lot of balsamic vinegar.
No, which is very nice.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the continuous aging. There's definitely also like port wine and sherry vibes.
Yeah.
You can smell some oxidation. I'm getting honey, almost like you caramelized honey for when you're making a gastrique for making red wine sauce, or red wine reduction, or red wine, what's it called, glaze.
Yeah.
It's almost like the gastrique you boil with caramelized honey and balsamic vinegar. But I don't think it's like scrapingly vinegar.
No, not at all. It's quite soft. But that's probably also because of that chocolatey, slightly coffee-esque
vibe,
soft balance to it. Because it definitely has like a smooth malt sweetness or like balancing element to
It's
it.
got a lot of stuff going on. I'm also getting like leather and figs and prunes. And
Yeah,
like this.
I'm getting leather now and a touch smoky.
This screams old school complex beer, man.
Yeah.
This
That is
reminds
Struise.
me. Yeah, it reminds me of like the complexity you get in. Even like, it reminds me a bit of Hair of the Dog for some reason. Like some of their barrel aged beers, like Adam and Fred from the Wood and stuff like that. It's like it just those are not, you know, Flemish inspired sour beers, but it's the complexity of barrel with all like the char and leather and all these things. Just reminds me.
But it also has a bit of that we've talked about spiced caramelized red apple.
Yeah, and also a bit of earthiness actually.
But there's definitely some, to me, red apple about it, but like caramelized red apple maybe.
And some brown bread. It's lots of stuff going on. Let's try it, man.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Wow. Wow, that's well balanced.
Yeah. Ooh, and
It is
really
so
tannic.
yeah, I love it. It is so wine-like.
And it's quite, substantial.
Yeah, it
carries on for quite a while.
Wow, this is so underrated in my mind. What the hell? Like the average rating for the just non-vintage is like 8 or 9?
Yeah, I think something like that.
It must be because people don't like beer that tastes like tobacco and leather and crazy tannin wine and all this. This is so old money, but I think it's really fucking good. I love how it's also not like crazy, like lactic scraping sour.
No, it isn't. It's more. What's the bacteria called? What's it called?
I think you have acetic acid or what?
Yeah, it's more like but it's a very soft kind of acetic acid.
Yeah, I think it's slightly vinegary, but it's not like one of those.
No.
There's definitely also lactic acid, but it's not like it's scrapingly vinegary. There's just so much red wine and so much chocolate.
Yeah, yeah, it's almost like.
It's almost like dry chocolatey coconuts, like an old coconut.
like chocolate covered sour cherries maybe.
Yeah, or just or dates, figs, prunes, that kind of wine.
But I just think it has the sourness of more similar to like cherries, slightly fresh, really dark cherries.
Yeah, totally. I totally see that.
But again, tobacco, coffee, chocolate, leathery.
Yeah, huge oakiness.
Lots of oak and tan.
And it's like a huge, like really old wood kind of flavor. It's almost like really aged port.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of wood flavor, but it's
really tannic then.
Yeah, but really tannic. It's almost like a combo of both.
Yeah.
Quite dry. It's also dry, but it's also got a little bit of sweetness to balance it out. It's not like cloying sweet or anything. I think everything is really well balanced, but man, there's a lot of stuff going on. I love that intense tannic grape kind of flavor.
But that's also what happens when you barrel age something for 5 years.
Yeah,
you get a lot of complexity, and especially if you have a fairly complex or heavy base.
Also, probably because the base is so lactic and sour, it's been able to maybe even though it doesn't taste like it now, it's crazy sour, but maybe. The barrel has helped bring down the pH or something. I don't know. Like that could have something to do with it as well. But it tastes like it's so crazy intense on barrel flavor, and it's dry, which I really love too. It's not like just uber rich. But it's a total old school, old money beer.
Yeah, it is.
Like
it's not,
new money palates will hate this.
It's really not modern.
No, and it's totally old world, but it totally explains the average on Untapped on vintages of this, because it's just a beer that's not for everyone. It's what craft beer was like when I was getting into it, when you got the really complex stuff,
much
like,
more edgy.
If you just edgy but loads of layers, and it's lots of different things. Lots of lots of earthiness, and it's all like these tannins and the big wood character and leather and all that. Like those are not flavors that a lot of people associate with something they like nowadays, because everything has to be light and fluffy, or it has to be pastry or
and sweet and just like more acceptable. Everyday flavors. This
is grown up beer, if you could say it like that. This is beer you have to have drunk a lot of beer to like, I think, for a lot of people. But so is a lot of like aged spirits or fortified wines, because there's a lot of that like fortified vineyards wine quality to it, along with also just an intense red wine flavor. Like I think if you love Flemish beers and if you love red wine barrel aged beer and old money beer, you're gonna go nuts over this. I think this is totally. I want to go 95. I think this is totally underappreciated beer. It's dope Flemish Old Bruin, but it's just because it's Flemish Old Bruin that people are probably like, and it's not funky as Lambic, which is amazing.
But it's not meant to be.
But you have so much other complexity from malt and barrel and extended aging and very well executed oxidation. Like it doesn't drink like soy sauce or like cardboard. It's like elegant sherry-esque port wine vibes. I think it's fucking good, and it's one of these beers that it pisses me off that it doesn't have a higher average because it deserves it. But it's just because of what it is. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's just not really mainstream flavors. It's more edgy.
I didn't expect to like it this much, but that's only because of the averages on Untapped. But that's why you shouldn't always trust those.
Yeah, and we talked about it before. Like some beer styles, you can't really count on Untapped, especially the more old school ones, or especially when it comes to lagers. It's a complete gamble.
Yeah.
I've always loved everything from Rodenbach. So to me, I've always loved this kind of style. So to me, it's not a challenge at all. It's it's a welcome change from all the stuff we drink. But I don't think I'll go 95. I think it's probably 93, 94 to me. I still think it's really good.
I think I'm gonna like it more as it warms up too.
Yeah, maybe.
So but I think it's awesome.
I think it's great too. I'm not. I've always really liked Rodenbach, but I'm not that crazy excited about those flavors. So.
Henrik and I used to be insanely excited about Rodenbach Vintage, and this is almost.
That's also my favorite.
Yeah, I think this is the same level of excitement I had trying OG Rodenbach Vintage and like La Folie from what is it, the brewery that makes it, New Belgium. La Folie, some of the earlier vintages, because I had some of those as well back in the day. But it's like so old money. Like it's nostalgic, but it's fucking great beer. Do you want to chime in, Henrik? Jump in the back. Because Henrik and I were going nuts over Rodenbach back in the day.
I think it was it some of the first sour beer we had? At least for me it was.
Yeah, I think.
I mean,
Lambic was prior for me, but still.
Yeah. But I mean,
Rodenbach and Duchesse de Bourgogne.
This style has always been like close to my heart, and this is just excellent for what it is. It's really, really nice.
It also has a bit more depth and spiciness and stuff. That it's not just sour and dry.
What do you think in terms of grade?
I would give it probably 94, 95 as well.
It's fucking great.
I would maybe give it 95 to be honest.
I haven't been this excited about a Flemish style Oud Bruin in ages, but it might also be because it's something we haven't drunk in ages, and the reference point right now because.
But it has a great balance, and
it does.
It's just the flavors don't I like them a lot, but they don't get me that excited.
For some reason, I got really excited about this. Maybe it's just because it's also it's nostalgic. It's like when I was drinking La Folie and fucking Rodenbach Vintages, the old stuff back in the day, and having Cartier Rouge for the first time, and having Alexander by Rodenbach, I went nuts. And I feel the same about this, but I don't think a lot of people will agree. Maybe unless you're old money, but I think a lot of, as I said previously, a lot of new school palates will not like this as much.
No.
But again, also what I wanted to say was our frame of reference for these kind of beers are also low, because the frame of reference is, you might have tried some of the best, but you need to keep it in check. So like if you have a frame of reference for like New England IPAs right now, because we drunk so much good ones, so that frame of reference, of the best is in check. But if you neglect something for a while with frame of reference, that it drops. You have to get back up and try some of the best just to remember it. That's how it is.
But then again, there isn't a lot of this stuff. So
what?
There isn't a lot of Flemish red ale at all.
No,
so
not anymore.
What should you try?
I mean,
but
especially compared to like if I think of this and some of the newer examples we had some Pefrium, I think this is much better. Yeah. But this is a long video and it's a little bit of a nostalgic rant, so let's cut it there. But I want to still stick to 95 because I think it's a world class beer. So yeah, Earthmonk, Aardmonk, or Aardmonnik and Earthmonk by this Struise. I'm very glad I got a bottle of this. And I think it's very drinkable, 30% too. Yeah. I mean, I'm not really tasting it. So if you guys had a chance to try this, specifically the 13 vintage, let us know. Delicious beer. If you're into Flemish Ootboens, you should try and get some of this. I think you can find it online.
I think it's mostly Etre that has it. I don't think it's on maybe in some weird Belgian or whatever. Dutch store. But
Etre Gourmet.
Yeah, that's the place to get it. Maybe they still have some.
So if you want to try it, go there. And as always, guys, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And we're going to say cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers. In Flemish Ootboen, and see you guys in another beer review. Bye.